I'm back! I'm back in the saddle again! Welcome back and thanks for joining me. So glad you could make it. So I got back from the Smokeout Rally, Smokeout 19, and it was a really good time, I gotta tell you, for an event that was canceled. Long story, not important, but it was a good time. It was exhausting. It was 2 days of, well, let me start at the beginning. So I rented a lens, a 70 to 200 millimeter Tamron. I already had the 24 to 70, and it was supposed to get here Wednesday. Didn't get here Wednesday. FedEx said that there was nobody home to sign for it. There was somebody home all day. I'm not really sure what happened. They delivered the note that said there was nobody home, so I'm not really sure why they couldn't deliver the package. So my original intent was to leave out early Thursday morning and head up to the Smokeout. I left about 2:30, 3 o'clock. Ran into one massive shower, but right about the time it was starting to rain, I was pulling off and stopping at a gas station to get a tarp to wrap up my duffel bag in. Right about the time I shut off the bike, it just opened up, pouring. Got my duffel bag off the bike and out of the rain, bought the tarp, wrapped it up inside the store, put it all back on the bike and headed out. Still raining, but not as bad as it was. So for the next, I don't know, 30, 40 miles, went up the highway, and I pulled off outside of Turbeville, South Carolina. And there's a prison up there. I don't know if it's federal or state or what's involved, but as I got in the area, I saw a sheriff's car sitting on the median in the highway. And probably a couple miles after that, saw a Stady sitting up there. And I noticed there was a helicopter flying around. And I thought, oh, it's a sheriff's helicopter. You know, and I'm sure it's a coincidence that it's outside this prison. So, I don't know, they might fly there all the time. Seems like it'd be kind of expensive to run a helicopter 24/7 outside a prison. So, I assumed they were looking for somebody. So, I stopped, got my gas, rode off, and for probably about the next 4 or maybe 5 miles, I looked up to my left, and there's this helicopter just paralleling me on the highway, along the highway. Of course, I've got this big blue tarp wrapped up on the back of my bike. I'm thinking if I was an escapee trying to be inconspicuous, you know, might as well have that fluorescent green day glow, you know. So, I don't know. For all I know, they could have just been checking out the bike, which I can't say I blame them because Scarlett is one sexy beast. And I'm not doing too bad myself.
Am I as studly as the statue of David or what?
But they followed for a little while and then they peeled off, so that's cool. Made my way to the Smokeout. By the time I hit Rockingham, I was dry and it was warm again. And that's the way you're supposed to ride in the rain. Now, I do need to ride in the rain a little bit more because this vest is getting a little funky. It's seasoning, right? Showed up, set up my tent, and pretty much crashed for the night because I knew it was going to be a long 2 days. The next 2 days was pretty much walking around, taking pictures, getting video clips, and trying to push fluids. I was probably drinking water every 20 to 30 minutes, and it really still wasn't enough. I was still dehydrated, but I didn't fall out, so I wasn't that dehydrated. It was exhausting. It was hot. I mean, 7 to 8 o'clock at night, it was still 89 degrees. And as much as I'd like to complain about how much work it was, I can't help but think of all the people that put on the show and are involved in that. Even the vendors. You know, that for them, it's 2 days of work as well. You know, 3 or 4 if you count set up, tear down, and travel, and all that stuff. So it's tough work for everybody involved, but it was awesome. Now, Friday morning, I was looking out at this field that I normally camp in, and I was mentioning to the guys at the gate, it's like, you know, it doesn't look like there's that many people here this year. But it didn't necessarily mean that it was going to be a bust. Sometimes fewer people is a better party. And it turned out really great. There were some fantastic bands, several of which I'd never heard of before, a couple of which I'd heard of but never heard. I walked away with about 1,950 pictures and 104 video clips. So I'm going to throw that all together into a video. You know, I want to get it out quickly for you, but I don't want to rush it either and just do a half-fast job. I heard that from the pulpit once. There was a preacher talking about something being half-fast, and I'm like, I don't think you can say that from the pulpit. He's like, no, that's a word, half-fast. It means not slow, right? No, that's not what it means. I mean, I guess it means the same thing, but, no, those aren't the words. It's not half, hyphen, or space, fast. This is why I go to church, because we all learn something. I don't want to throw it together and do a half-fast job. I want to make sure that I put together a decent video, and it should be really good. Edge, who is kind of the main driver of the event, I guess, did a great job of lining people up, getting support, and getting word out there that it wasn't canceled. And he threw a terrific party. And I just found out that he was actually inducted into the South Carolina Biker Hall of Fame, which is awesome and well deserved. There were burnouts, there were great bands, there were vendors with food, parts, and bike stuff. There were tattoo and beard contests. There were the traditional wet t-shirt contests. There was a painted lady contest. The Nitro bike took its run several times, so that was cool to watch. They opened up the drag strip to 50 style racing. If you had a bike and wanted to race it, you could. If you had mini bikes and wanted to race it, you could. A lot of people showed up on Saturday. One of the cool things about the Smokeout is that it's very relationship driven. And you run into a lot of people that you may not see all year, but you catch them annually at the Smokeout. One of the guys that normally camps near me didn't show up, and I was like, oh man, I don't know where he is. But I found him on Saturday. He had dropped in for the day. So it was good running into him. I met a whole lot of new people that I had never really met before, some of which I had heard of, some of which I hadn't. But got a chance to meet them, hang out with them, talk about the event, talk about motorcycles, talk about photography, talk about, all the good stuff. It was a blast. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it might have been one of my favorites, really, for that aspect of it. But it was a lot of work, and it was tough. I will say that after 2 days, I'm usually ready to go home. Maybe because I don't do it well, and I don't know all the stuff that you got to do to really kind of survive in that kind of heat and stuff. For 3 days. I don't know how the other people do it. I would say they're all younger than I am, but there's some crotchety old guys who are hanging with the best of them. So I might just be a wimp, but I'll hang in there. I haven't fallen out yet. I'll do it again. I'm really looking forward to next year. It's a 20-year anniversary, and that's kind of a special thing. The Horseback Street Choppers was a partner, a sponsor of the event for, I don't know if it was from the beginning or very close to the beginning, but they've been around a really long time. And of course, they kind of parted ways this year. And a couple of other magazines stepped up. Cycle Source was there, and a couple of vendors stepped up to sponsor the event. I just passed my exit and didn't even realize it. Oops. Well, we were talking. I got carried away. But that's good. I was standing by the gate on Saturday morning, and one guy rode in, and he was just dry heaving like every 5 or 10 feet. So, he was enjoying himself. Not at that particular moment, but probably the night before. I'm too old for that, man. That's for a younger generation. A couple of years ago I went, and the guys next to me had some moonshine going around. So they invited me over and had me try the moonshine, and I just sipped it because I'm not a big drinker. But I had no place to go, so, I sipped it. They're like, no, you take a swig. So I took a swig. They passed it around, and we started talking about beer, and one of the guys there made his own beer. So he pulled out a sample. He's like, here, try this. So I'm drinking the beer, and the moonshine came around again, and can't take a sip, so another swallow of moonshine and another bottle of different beer because the conversation changed to the next kind of beer. Moonshine and beer and moonshine. Now I think there were pretty much 2 of us that were still awake when I left. I was one of them. But I woke up the next morning and it was a stark reminder why I don't do that anymore. I pretty much, if I had died then, I would have been okay with it. I was too hungover to drink coffee. That's serious. That's almost medical. So I was supposed to be at a meeting that morning, I guess. He said, we're all meeting at 8 o'clock, staff. And because of, I was just there shooting for another magazine, and but I did have a press pass and stuff. I didn't consider myself staff. Not that I was opposed to it, I just, you know, it would have seemed presumptuous. So I didn't really make a big deal of showing up to the meeting. And, you know, I didn't even think he knew who I was, quite honestly. And he mentioned later, he's like, when I call a meeting at 8 o'clock, I expect people to be here at 8 o'clock. And I'm like, you know, I mean, it was clearly my bad and just a misunderstanding. But I never forgot it, and I didn't want to miss another meeting because I'm grateful just to be there. I checked my phone about 7:30 this time and realized he had called me about 6:45. Absolutely freaked out. You know, have you seen so-and-so? You know, he was looking for me, and it's a big deal. And somebody was like, you know, I'm sure he's fine. Don't worry about it. I have to worry about it. You know, it's for me, it's life or death. It's like the same importance as being audited, you know. Not that I think anything bad's going to happen. I just don't want to disappoint, you know, people who have me there to do a job. So, oh my gosh, I blew 2 exits. I'm going to take this one. I blew 2 exits talking to you people. We have to stop meeting like this. So you think you're Romeo? You play a part in a picture show. You take the long way home. I'm like in the next town up, so yeah, I missed it by a little bit, right? Looking forward to the video. I don't know what I've got, quite honestly. I just tried to get clips of this, that, and the other thing. I really didn't plan it out all that well. I mean, I planned it out per shot. Oh, this shot will look cool like this. But it's not like I put a story together. But I mean, compared to the rest of my videos, it's really no different. So, but hopefully I can show you some cool stuff. Burnouts, bands. So I ran into a bunch of people that I'd heard of. I mean, not all of them. But I ran into a bunch of people, and you know, we were talking and stuff. Man, I was just networking. I was dropping business cards, making it rain contact information the whole time. It was really good to meet some of those people. And, you know, next year they'll remember you. Actually, every time I go in the morning, there's no coffee right there, so I have to get on the bike and ride a couple miles to go get coffee. There's a couple of guys that meet at Circle K, a couple locals, every year. And we sit there in the morning and we chit chat back and forth, you know, banter. And the older guy brought up, somebody asked a question, and the older guy's like, well, he's the photographer. So they know me, and that's cool. There were a couple other guys up there who I had spoken to last year, and one of them was like, oh, you're the guy that writes for the magazines. Why, yes, I am. So it's nice to have that reputation, even if they don't specifically know who I am. You know, I'm recognized that that's what I'm doing, which is nice because that way I'm not just a creep or perv running around with a camera or, you know, law enforcement or whatever. You know, people understand what I'm doing. So that opens up a lot of doors for me. So that's really great having that reputation. So now I've got a bunch of other people, many of whom are actually involved in magazines, who I stop and talk to. So I'm sure that they'll, you know, next year they'll know who I am. And that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. And from my brief contact with them, they all seem like really good people, which I guess makes sense. You know, you don't want to deal with doofuses, so they don't really make it. Doofuses don't make it far in life. So they've got to be nice people, right? I can't believe I ran those 2 exits. I'm still being impacted by the smoke out. For the record, I had 2 beers the whole time, and 1 was free. So, you know, it wasn't like I was wasted or anything. I was too busy. For the most part, I was too busy to realize how hungry I was. I didn't even eat really well while I was there. I lost 9 pounds. I'm telling everybody, I lost 9 pounds. I'm sure it's all water. I've probably gained it all back by now, but I lost 9 pounds. The coolest part of that isn't that I lost weight. It's that for that short a time, my bike was that much faster. So I kind of had some videos stacked up because I knew the smokeout was coming, so I wanted to be able to fill in. And I'm going to slip this one in just because it's hot off the presses, brand new. Chronologically relevant. 1,950 pictures. That's a lot. Now the work begins. I have to turn 1,950 into 100 of the best. I know there's probably at least 10 or so in there that shouldn't be hard to eliminate. I don't really know why I need another picture of my foot, but you know, at a chopper event with chopper builders and choppers, somebody should go up there as a vendor and serve chop suey. Harley Davidson chopsticks. Chop, 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 chopsticks. Choppers made out of chopsticks. Any day now. I would like to go around this curve. That car shouldn't be anybody. Red car, another car. Try not to get cream. So anyways, that's the Smokeout. Did I mention that there were choppers? I don't think so. And build-offs. And mini bike races. And costume mini bike races. And biker games. And bikini bike washes. It's just an event. It's just a thing. I'm finally almost home, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you again for joining me. I appreciate you being here. This might be the longest one yet. And I will see you tomorrow. Thanks. Whew.